We get to prime the boat this week, which is very exciting. But first, I need to explain a very big mistake that I made. I bought the wrong mast for the boat.
For those of you who might be new here, really briefly, Duracell did not come with a mast. That's because the boat collided with a cargo ship in 1994 mid-Pacific and was dismasted. No one was hurt, but the original mast lies at the bottom of the Pacific near the equator. So, 5 years ago when we moved the boat to our yard, we started looking for a mast. It was also the beginning of this channel, and we put out a plea to our viewers to help us find one.
If you know of a mast that's in the back of a boatyard, or you know of a boat that's replacing their rig, let me know.
After a year and a lot of searching, a viewer in LA sent us a tip about a mast in a little shipyard along the waterfront in Los Angeles. We flew down to check it out. The measurements and stats looked good, so we shipped the mast from LA to our yard in Port Townsend.
The mast has been very patiently waiting here for the past few years. And this spring, I was finally ready to start actually doing the planning for my rigging project. And those plans included hiring a local or West Coast spar builder to do a lot of work on it for me. He found a problem.
The mast we bought came off of an Andrews 70, which is an ultralight displacement racing yacht built in California in the early 90s. It is 10 feet longer than Duracell, weighs in about 5,000 pounds less than Duracell, and the Andrews 70 mast is 6 feet longer than Duracell's original and planned mast.
When I found this mast, I dug in to find as much information as I could about it. And that included finding out what the mast's section shape is and what the area moment of inertia is. And that is the mast's or a tube's ability to resist bending.
Moment of inertia is basically the mast's stiffness. These are the same section shape, but one is a third longer top to bottom and has a wall thickness that is half of the smaller section. This larger section weighs a lot less because of the much thinner wall, but has much more moment of inertia because its shape is bigger. But there is no free lunch. Usually mast manufacturers try to make the mast section as big as possible with thinner and thinner walls to increase the moment of inertia and decrease the weight. But eventually the walls get too thin and local buckling of the mast occurs. When the wind pushes on a sail and heels the boat, the heeling is counteracted by the righting moment, which is the boat's attempt to right itself. That force is putting tension into the stays and shrouds, which are in turn putting compression into the mast. The force of the wind on the sail is trying to bend the mast, and when there's not enough area moment of inertia, the mast will try to buckle under that compression. And therefore, all other factors staying the same, the larger the righting moment is on the sailboat, the larger the mast section needs to be.
A very quick and easy demonstration of the area moment of inertia and the compression loads that a mast takes is showing the difference between how a aluminum can withstand weight versus a straw. Remember that a mast is withstanding compression loads as well as bending loads from the wind pushing on the mast. How I can demonstrate this is by taking my straw and I can start putting weights on it. It won't balance necessarily. My straw can start taking some weight. I can put a little bit of weight on there. But if I put too much on there, what will happen eventually is the straw will collapse under the loads. Whereas if I put the same weight on top of an aluminum can, the aluminum can withstand all kinds of compression. And then I can press on my aluminum can in areas and it won't buckle. Now again, this is not a totally accurate representation of this because the area moment of inertia is measuring or calculating how much bend that a tube or a shape can withstand, whereas I'm putting it under compression and then attempting to bend it. So, but otherwise it shows exactly how compression and bending can affect a tube. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. Good demo, honey.
Oh, thank you. So we need a new mast. Excuse me. Yeah, hey Larry. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Yeah, totally. You can drop it off anytime. So that was Larry. He's watching the show right now, and he said that he has Dogzilla's old wing mast just lying around. It's 223 feet long, so I could just cut a little bit off the bottom, plop it on the boat. It'll be awesome. So I just gotta wire him a few $1,000s by midnight tonight. I guess he's a little short on cash.
Sounds like there's been a data breach. Someone got a hold of Matt's personal information and is trying to scam him again.
Yanni, the Prince of Norway wants to give us money.
Thank God we have Incogni for sponsoring this episode. Scams, identity theft, they all start with your personal data being exposed across various websites. It's on people's search sites, in data broker databases, shady directories, AI answers, and even search results. Incogni is a proven solution to this problem. Incogni tracks down and removes your personal data from multiple sites. The process is fully automated for hundreds of known data brokers, companies that collect and sell your data without your consent. Data can reappear on these sites, so Incogni repeatedly removes it for you. There's also a custom removal feature. This feature takes down almost everything that's exposed about you online. You just send Incogni a link, and your dedicated privacy expert will handle everything else. Take back your personal data with Incogni. Use code Duracell at the link below and get 60% off annual plans.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Okay. See you later. Okay. Bye-bye. Now, there are other factors that can be tweaked to a mast's advantage.
If you put more spreaders on the mast, the length of the mast between spreaders or panels gets shorter, which means a smaller mast section can be used. In fact, the moment of inertia required goes up with the square of the mast panel length. So a panel twice as long requires 4 times the moment of inertia. But more spreaders means more complication and much more expensive. Or if the spreader base is made wider, you can imagine how the mast becomes more stable with shrouds being further outboard.
The mast is light, and that's one reason that we really liked it.
Our plan is to make the mast more stable and more powerful than its original design by shortening the panel lengths between spreaders and adjusting the chain plates to full beam, making a much wider shroud base. Couple the mastwork with the decreased riding moment from a shorter keel and less water ballast, and it was all a win-win. I did the calculations and everything looked to me like it would work out.
Now fast forward to this past spring.
I was starting my work to get the mast project going when I got in touch with a local spar builder to see if he wanted to build new spreaders for me. And he pretty quickly came back to me and said that the mast section is too small.
So I learned that in my calculations there is a safety factor that I got wrong. And in the event of a knockdown, my mast would be too close to that catastrophic failure line. And so basically I made the classic mistake of assuming, and where I should have checked and double checked with the professionals. I was very excited about finding a mast, and I jumped on it a bit too eagerly.
It's the long-awaited mast.
That's right.
I am in touch with spar builders for a newly built mast, but as you can imagine, it's very expensive. What I would prefer is to find an old mast that's lying around in a boatyard that is a really close fit for us, that has some modifications to make, but in general will fit in the boat. This is where you, the viewer, can help us out. We are hopeful that one of you can find us a mast, and if you do, if you are the one that finds the mast that we end up buying, we would love to pay you $500, or you could even come out on a sale on Duracell once the boat is launched. So now I'll tell you what we're looking for specifically.
The mast should be 75 feet long or longer with a section that is 11 inches longitudinally by 7.5 inches transversely or bigger. Obviously, the closer to Washington State, the better. I would also prefer aluminum because it's a lot easier to modify than a carbon mast.
If you do find something that's outside of my parameters, but it's close, let me know anyway. There is some wiggle room in our design. And it's also not out of the question to cut a mast in half to transport it and then splice it back together once we get it here. So we're open to anything. We're open to a lot of things, is what I'm trying to say. Again, if you are the one that finds the mast that we end up buying, we'll pay you $500, or we'd love to take you out for a sail on Duracell. Just email me at theduracellproject@gmail.com. And I really appreciate your eyes out there looking for Duracell's next mast.
Let's find Duracell mast.
We can do it.
We can do it. Woo!
All right, today we get to prime the boat.
The deck and hull were cleaned meticulously after the sanding was done last week. All the openings were masked, and then we started priming. This time we're applying what's called 545 Finish Primer by Allgrip. This is a thin sealing coat that has excellent adhesion properties and is used before the top coat goes on the boat. It will make a really nice flat surface for the top coat. Today I'm planning on getting 2 coats on the deck and 3 coats on the hull. Veronica is a member of Smalls' team of painters who was a huge help for me today to tend the airline, keep the cup full, mix paint, and to let me know if I missed a spot. At first I was using my gravity feed cup to spray on the primer, but quickly realized that in order to lay down more material, I needed to pressurize. Once I did that, the job started going a lot faster.
Keep doing this.
I kept bumping my air hose into the wet paint, leaving a little rut in the primer that will have to be fixed later. Very frustrating. After lunch, we got back to it for the second coat. You'll notice that we were moving very quickly, and that's because after about 1 o'clock, the sun comes out from behind the trees and starts baking the shed. We were really hot in there and doing our very best to get the job done well, but scorching while we were doing it. As I coated the hole, I realized that my scaffolding is too high for spraying. Before the top coat goes on, the scaffolding has to be brought down a couple feet. Coating the hull actually went very fast. The deck has all the corners, nooks, and crannies, which took a lot of time to work around. Seeing the boat change color, even if it is to put another few coats of primer on, is extremely satisfying. I love seeing it clean and prepped for painting, and the new coat of primer almost looks like a top coat, at least when it's wet.
So the boat's primed. The next step is painting. And again, if you know of a mast lying around somewhere, we'd love to hear from you. We'll see you next week.